Good evening. Tonight, you are going to be transported on a journey that will lead to the discovery of perhaps one of the most recognizable tunes in history. Hold on to your seats. We are traveling to Salzburg, where it all begins with one small boy. One morning, young little Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart arose from his bed and, as was his routine, waddled promptly to the piano to play his morning exercises. As he sat down at the piano bench, wiping the sand from his eyes, his mind was flooded with all of the music that came to him in his dreams the night before. He placed his fingers on the keys and began to play. He finished playing and thought to himself, that doesn't sound quite like the magnificent tune I heard in my dreams last night. Let me try again. Rats, thought Mozart. That's a nice enough tune, but I'm sure that wasn't it either. It is slipping away so fast, I'm not sure I'll ever remember it now, he thought sadly as he hung his head. Just as Mozart was beginning to lose hope, he looked up at the last star fading into the morning sky, and it suddenly struck him. Aha! Exclaimed Mozart. I think I remember it now. He quickly swung back around to the piano and began to play. Mozart sat back with a smile on his face. He liked the way his new tune sounded very much. Just as he was reaching out to the keys to play it once again, he heard his father's footsteps coming down the stairs. Wolfgang, my boy, said his father, entering the room. It is time to get started on your daily chores. Grumbling quietly, young Mozart got up from the piano bench and headed out to the stables to feed the lambs. As Mozart tended to the stables, his new tune kept playing in his head, prompting him to whistle proudly. The more Mozart whistled his new tune, the more he realized that it didn't sound quite finished. This troubled him very much, for he could not think of which notes he would like to come next. He thought and continued to play the tune in his head, trying out different melodies that could possibly come next. Nothing Mozart came up with seemed to finish his original melody quite well enough. Frustrated, he quickly finished up his chores and headed down to the docks with his sister to float down the river in their little boat. They rowed up and down the river for the rest of the afternoon, stopping many times along the way to take out their fishing rods and see what they could catch. All the while, Mozart's little tune ran through his head. But he could not, for the life of him, figure out how to finish it. All afternoon they rowed and fished and rowed some more, with that same little melody stopping at the same exact place in Mozart's head. I've never been so frustrated in my life, Mozart told his sister. Is this how Bach felt writing the Well-Tempered Clavier? Surely not, he thought. Perhaps you should take your mind off it for a while, said Mozart's sister. Let's go back home and you can play some of your other compositions on the piano. After a few hours of afternoon practice, Mozart found himself at the dinner table feeling particularly glum. Why the long face? Asked Mozart's father, Leopold. Oh, said Mozart longingly, I thought I had written a masterpiece today for sure, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be. Let it go, son, said Mozart's father. Even the greatest of composers have writer's block from time to time. Why don't you run off and tend to the stables one last time before bed? With his head hung low, Mozart headed out into the brisk, clear night to feed his animals and clean their stalls. Sweeping carelessly and staring up at the stars, Mozart whistled his new tune for what he vowed would be the last time. Suddenly, just as he arrived at the final note, he saw a peculiar star dancing in the sky, and a gentle breeze began to softly whistle. Quickly recognizing how perfectly this completed his melody, Mozart began jumping up and down gleefully. Spotting a nail lying on the floor, he began to excitedly etch what he'd heard into the wood of the barn door. Finally, when he was finished, he stepped back proudly and began to whistle along with the wind what was written on the door. Lying in bed that night, Mozart stared up at the star that he suspected had helped him to finish his masterpiece. Barely sleeping a wink, he whistled softly all night long his Mozart melody. Thank you so much. Thus concludeth the first part of our concert. Beginners, good job. You can feel good about that. Now, yes. Okay, so now between our beginning group and our advanced elementary group, we have a cameo, a special guest appearance by our North Central Chamber Orchestra.